Hey folks, Nick Tuckert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Before we get into our usual program tonight, I have to pay some bills. The Historical Fencing Guild is made possible with the support of our good friends over at the Independent Creator Directory. That's IndieCD.org, your one-stop shop for the best and the brightest authors, artists, and musicians. We are also supported by the use of my affiliate link over at Purple Heart Armory. I do get a small percentage back. However, I only agree to that with I will review everything I review completely open and honest. But if you are looking for goods and you want to buy American made, PHA is definitely the place to go. We are made possible further by sales of the Simple Sword, the Fighting Axe, and the Simple Spear, all part of my ongoing series of Western martial arts manuals designed to help you go from having never handled the sword to teaching the art to others. And, of course, we are made possible by my amazing Patreon patrons who are patiently awaiting a whole bunch of videos from the last practice. And I want to thank them. Their names are scrolling at the bottom. Off in the Woods, Frog G, Ronald, Riehn, Bladed Thesis, Brian K. Morris, Cindy Koepp, Steve, Agosto, Don, Dulas, Angelina, Vaquera-Linke, Joe, and Trilaina, Bachman. I could not do what I do without you. We do have a set of news, both in acquisitions and in opportunities. Tomorrow we will be having a practice. Looks like it'll be a limited turnout, but we're going to see what we can see. My good buddy James Robertson's coming out. I'm hoping to get my brother. And if it's too hot, it's going to turn into a magic game because, frankly, it is monstrously hot. But we are working on opportunities to further improve our facilities. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Chief among them is I have acquired a 20 by 20 tarp and supportive tent poles that theoretically should allow us to put up a nice shaded area over the list field, which I have to reset, but I have to reset that in the morning or tonight when it's cool enough to do so. We're just trying to get the vibes back, get things running how we want. I'm hoping if it's tall enough, we'll at least be out of the sun when it comes time to fight. And if it doesn't work, it will at least give me a sort of pencil-in area. I had planned to actually buy the carport. I had effectively saved up for the carport that we should be able to put out without any permit issues. However, it turned out we had our water heater go down again, and that means we've incurred extra costs. Now, due to some wonderful generosity and support from our dear friend and guild member Rich Asplund Jr., we aren't where I thought we'd be, but I'd already ordered the tarp, so I'm making that work until I can fully recover, which should be good. Other things I put out that took a while to get through have come in. So I am now in possession of not only the crank forge, I have a crank grinding wheel for sharpening knives, swords, and axes. And I have, it's a small one, but I have a throatless shear, which takes me back all the way back to Jesse Tibbetts, also known as Squire Kedifer, who is no longer with us, but he taught me a large amount of my armoring. And I am, every time I get around certain kinds of projects, I get a little misty-eyed thinking about that man and what that means. So as soon as the temperature breaks and we can do some different things, I will have access to a set of very useful metalworking and woodworking tools that are, most of them are not electric. They are manually powered, which means they'll be nice and quiet, easier to control, burn off of juice, calories. So either I can be able to work it, or hopefully Xander will be able to work it if he shows interest in learning to do these things. So it's, having the pieces, and now I have to assemble the puzzle of how I'm going to have them set up and be usable and what have you, what format I want that to be in. But I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited because it means I'm getting to the support side of things I've been after for nearly 30 years. I just have to endure this heat a little longer, which the setup stuff should theoretically improve. So we are working kind of slowly and tirelessly towards that. I don't know how tomorrow's going to go. I really don't. But it should be interesting. I haven't gotten to see my buddy Jim in quite some time. Longtime viewers of the channel have definitely seen that man sword fight. So that is very good. Now, I happen to know my lovely wife is not watching this. And if I speak at this volume, she can't hear me. But I've been slowly and methodically putting together the parts to make her a new training glaive. Now, before I get into the chat, I want to bring this up. Let's see. Present, invite, share screen. We'll go entire screen. That'll just make life easier. Here we go. Here. Because if you go into the deal of the day section, and you actually click deal of the day, not new and upcoming, you will see that the Partisan Spearhead is 31% off. It's a very good deal. She has one coming. Now, I've been looking into these, and I think it should give the right length for certain projects. I'm going to see how well it holds up on the pole I've selected. I may have to get a slightly thicker diameter pole, but they're listed in what they are expecting, the 1 1/16 or 1 1/8 round. But I'm very excited to see deals like this coming down the pipe. Now, I have not read this book. I don't know about it, but that's a good deal. Riehn is always a good read. And I'm continually tempted to get the George Silver medals and hold a tournament. I think it might be funny. But that would require a major guild turnout. Still, I think it would be amusing. So let me know what you guys think. And then there are a bunch of t-shirts. I am surprised to see the Makua Huddle. Yeah, that's as close as you can get out of me. Going for 30. I don't know why they're on sale. I guess they didn't hit popular. But I think they're going to be a good deal. I also wanted to point out, let me see, if I go deal and new and upcoming. I thought there was something I wanted to message you guys about here. No. What was it? I did find the fact that they've made an orc scimitar trainer utterly hilarious for all your Oh, shoot. There was something I was going to show you guys. Oh, well, it will come to me later because none of that is new. And all of that is a bit more expensive than what I can really work with right now. Still, there's some great things coming down the pipe. I'm excited for what the yard's going to be. I am excited for what we can do with the resources we have, and the fact that we're getting there, that it's happening. I have been working back there, so that table, it has been pulled out. Hopefully, actually by the next time you see me, I will have those glass door cabinets and things are going to move around so that I have access to some of my other equipment. So I'm looking forward to that too. We want a more professional rig. To answer the question that I got on Messenger, you're right. I'm not wearing one of my Hawaiian shirts. Even with all the ACs going and some fan adjustment, it's still well over 80 degrees in this office. And I can't do that in a extra layer. So you'd either get to see far too much of me or I would cook. And neither of these are really amiable to me. Now, the other thing I want to put out that I'm going to find fascinating, because I definitely will be watching it in the rerun, tragically, is our buddy Thesis is going to be doing on his channel a discussion of stances and guards from one of the styles he does. Now, when he is done with this video, I hope he has the good sense to download the transcript, because he will have just explained, worked very hard actually, to explain a whole bunch of one of the martial arts he does and studies, and the lovely system will write that out for you, which gives you an instant rough draft if you were, say, going to do a manual. Because sometimes writing what you know is much harder than simply talking through what you know. And while dictation software is wonderful stuff as a rule, when you are using dictation software, you are thinking about using dictation software, and you aren't focusing on the subject as much. But when you're giving a pre-set up, semi-scripted program, you're going to have your ideas already blocked out. You're going to have them set up, and you should be able to then get the transcript and start using that, if not directly for your manual, as a wonderful reference. You just slap the name of the file being what you were talking about, and you put it either up or you put it aside, and you do a whole series of videos where you're talking about what you know, and then you can reference your videos. You can screenshot from the video for the product. It's really a neat way of setting up a manual, and I've been planning to do something similar myself, but as I've got a few books in the tank and one nearing completion, the Rapid Rape here is rapidly nearing completion, giving you that idea as a jump start. And that extends to everyone. That extends to Trilaina, because, dear heart, you are doing wonderful videos for yourself, for Ruby, for Kitty. You're going to go in further into these concepts. Why not simply use the same method, and then you have a very ugly rough draft to work through? Now, I know this is more literary author advice, but I think it applies, because I cannot express and overstate the importance of both getting your ideas and your experiences out as a practitioner of modern Western or Eastern or historical martial arts, however you do them. and then getting it and making sure that it is in print tangibly somewhere right now is beyond important. Okay? Do you understand where I'm going with this? And I know it's not something you want to hear. I know I'm hounding you guys. But as I've said several times, I know, not I think, not I'm pretty sure of, I know that if I were to pass this very moment, if I were about to aneurysm out and just slump over, many of my stories are out there. All of them? No. But many of them. A concise approach to my style. Well, not concise. It needs work. But a written piece of the aspect of my style is available. People pick up the manuals and learn a lot. I can still be of service even though I have passed. Historically, if anybody needs to look back and wants to see, for whatever reason, how we were approaching Western martial arts or the study thereof, it's there too. Much like my published fiction and my published games and other things. Once it's out, it has a life of its own. And it really does become, in many ways, like a child. It is something you rear up the best you can and you let out in the world. And once you have it out and you have hard copies, it's much harder for somebody to come back and delete it if you have a hard copy in hand. It's much harder for people to change it if you have the original hard copy in hand. And this is important. This matters because this applies to the historical part of the Historical Fencing Guild. There are many wonderful sources out there. Many I respect and I throw out, frequently. Lord knows I'm a Gigante devotee. I love me some Gigante. I love Fiore in his place. I love Ringek. I love... Oh, God. I don't love Tallhofer. I can't. I'd be lying if I said I love Tallhofer. I'm kidding. I can't. But I got to have love for Silver. I got to have love for Marzano and Agrippa. And all the other ones I've had the privilege of dealing with. Even Barton. And everybody knows half his stuff was just BS. But I also love the writings of... what's it got? Not Guy Ritchie. Shoot, I always get his name messed up. But wrote the Swordsman, the Duelist's Companion, and the Swordsman's Companion. Guy Windsor, sorry, not Guy Ritchie, Guy Windsor, and others. I just saw Anthony DeLongis has a whip video up on YouTube. Just came out. I saw it go across. I want to say yesterday, very late, so it might be there. I'm excited to see that because I used to crack whips a bit. I don't have a whip of that breed anymore. Maybe I need to. Nick, you hate flail weapons. A whip is not a weapon. A whip is a tool of distraction and guidance for large livestock and a few other less than pleasant things, and a few, in some cases, more than pleasant things. However, I do like understanding them because I grew up watching Indiana Jones. Good heavens. So that is in the works. And that is a group I want you guys to join. I would love to see Al write some type of fighting manual. I'm very serious about that. I would love to see Steve write a fighting manual. I would love to see John Miner write a fighting manual. There are several people I know who are in a position of having knowledge that they need to impart onto others and to do good. So I'm going to hold you guys to that. I am going to admit that I may cut this video a little short if I get too hot. I hope you all understand that. It is a necessity with as we're adjusting. We had some insulation issues that had to be fixed due to the windstorm, and things are a little better than they were, but we're rolling with it. Now, I recently was messaged with a question of where it's very similar to one of theses. What do I want to study next? And I would like probably to study some variant of Filipino martial art, Kali, Eskrima, Arnis, somewhere in that family, just to get a little more fluid and a little outside of my rapier-ness. It's, part of it is trying to go back to training what I have on hand. So I also need to get back into a very specific set of modified Joe drills. I have that new staff that I want to say Ibogu put out. The manufacturer who has the same logo that we love. Let me see. The guys who did this. And since this is a fantasy sword, it brings up the thought / memory that another thing the guild may wish to check out that's floating around. It's actually on the public guild Facebook, the Historical Fencing Guild. You can find it. Look for the picture that has the shadow of a swordmaster and or this boot in places. A stage group, a group of stage fighters, I think at least a duo, have been trying to reenact Drizdo Erdin and Artemis Interius fight scenes. Now, it is very clearly stage combat. And I say that because of the exaggerations of motion and some of the range plays. It's very obvious that it is done to somebody with a slightly trained eye. That being said, they're not disguising it as not a choreographed fight. And if I saw it in a movie, I would be like clapping and hooting and hollering. Phenomenal work, gentlemen. That link is available in the Historical Fencing Guild's public group. In the response to the armoring, I now am in possession of a throatless shear, or people call it a throatless Beverly shear the same way they call it adjustable spanner, a crescent wrench. It's not by Beverly. I could not afford one of those. But I did get a remarkable deal on a, we'll say new to me, throatless Beverly shear. And while it won't handle some of the larger stuff, I should, with a little bit of tweaking, be able to do quite a bit of metal cutting and shaping for fabrication of, say, aluminum armor, definitely brass, and some mild steel work. So, again, I'm excited. I am gathering a lot of the pieces now so that come fall and into winter, once the garage is set up how I wish it to be, which will be substantially less alleged chickens, assuming, policies shift as I'm hoping they do. We will have, I will have access to do the crafts I desperately need to. Right now, it is a very cautious race between getting what I need, getting it set up, and getting back in the shape to do it before I burn out from some of my other issues and maybe find out I can't anymore. I need to get good enough to at least be able to demonstrate what I know how to do, and refresh myself so I can properly demonstrate it and make things for people who need it. Then I will have to start sourcing materials. And, that will be either expensive or interesting. But you're going to see about that as well. Now, I know I've been prattling quite a bit because, like I said, I have a lot going on in the background. And I really hope it's, interesting and informative to everyone watching. So let's go through the lines. We're going to hit the comments real quick and see if any questions have been generated. First through the door, apparently, is Houston, Texas Dave. Hello. Right over there on Kick. I love seeing my people over on Kick. It's delightful, and pardon my throat. I've been cleaning, and I suffered a rather unpleasant allergic reaction. So there is that as a factor. But an evening thesis. Please put the link to your video for Saturday in the chat so that people can check that out and make sure they get notified when it goes down. Again, as I will be hosting people and hopefully doing some very fun sword fighting and other means related stuff, I won't be able to watch it new, which stinks. But I do hope you take my commentary, if you were here for it, yes, you were here for it, in mind, and simply, when you do your presentation, go in and get the transcript and just put it in a doc file. Put it in a Google Docs file. And then do it again. And when you get enough, or you've covered a large part, go look, edit it, improve it, throw some images in there, and get it out there. Your first manual is not going to be perfect. Your first book isn't going to be perfect. Do the best you can. Because any level of imperfect is infinitely better than the perfect idea that never manifests. And it's high time a lot of the people that we know manifest their capacities for not just themselves, but in service to the future. And I'm getting Slimer smiles from Rich Chaswell Jr. Hey, Rich. Oh, I'm so looking forward to that. And hello, Kitty. How are you? I'm seriously, what all have you been up to? I'm genuinely curious. And oh, the subs are working over there. Excellent. I am beyond happy to hear that. And good evening, Trey. And yes, they are. Thank you. I really do appreciate everything you guys are doing for me. Thesis says, I wonder if Nick has seen that picture of the painting that Ruby shared with Trey the other day. I have not. I have not seen said picture. So I will need to see that at some point because I'd love to comment on that. And I hope you are well as well, Thesis. Because I know it's been so long since we've chatted. And hello, Foxy. How are you? And Foxy, you're always cooking. Stay hydrated. Yes, folks. I'm not playing. You guys need to stay hydrated. I need to stay hydrated. Everybody needs to stay hydrated. Oh. But, and there's the link for Saturday's show. Thank you for throwing that up there, Thesis. We are at an interesting point. I'll wait for comments to catch up again. But where the study of things like line combat, skirmish warfare, skirmish and group movements can become very relevant. Even if you are not participating in anything like that currently, I've been watching the news, and I've been watching some of the unpleasantness, and it is very true that understanding how basic line combat works is very important. So, I am going to encourage you to start looking into this and understand it. My concern whenever I'm doing anything is always for the weakest among them. And whenever I see things like, and I hate to say it, riots or mob events, large protests, I always, because of how I trained my eye, I see the scrum, I see the picket lines, I see the pulse charges and the gaps and the flanking maneuvers. This is one of those that, as long as people are dealing with large numbers of people in small areas, this skill set is vital to understand, possibly for your own safety. And again, I am not saying this to encourage anyone towards any action, because that could be problematic. And the guild can't be that. But I think everyone needs to understand it so that they know how to avoid getting caught in a kettle, how to avoid getting scooped up when you were just out shopping. And I truly believe a lot of people will point and laugh at what we do as, well, you're just LARPing, ha, 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 ha. And excluding the people who do LARP, which I have no problem with, that's never been my approach. It is a way to train skill sets that are useful, and absolutely, by forming the phalanx. Sorry, that popped up, and yes, some person, you're right. But I want you guys to be able to recognize what's going on and make informed choices for your safety. And that is to literally anyone watching these videos. My lovely chat, my lovely patrons, my friends and family, and all the people that I don't know but I love anyway, because I can do that. It is my belief that if hate can be irrational, if you can hate somebody you don't know, then I can love people I don't know. And it is got to be an equal balance point. So that's what I lean toward. Kitty does say anything, and I don't want to go too far. Says, from what I remember, the painting was from the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Met, a collection, but not currently on display. She was searching Highland Sword and found the painting or print. You could probably just search the Met website and find it. I probably have seen it for my perusal in that wonderful resource. I just don't know if I'm allowed to bring it up and show it, or else we'd be walking through looking at different swords and things, because a lot of times that's a great way to identify a historical sword is to find something that it looks like in the Met, which is a very vetted source, and then from there backtrack. It's also a great way if you are making or designing something to find out what it should be called. So we need to keep these sources in mind. Now, getting back to what I was saying, please look into group tactics and movements. I've done videos in the past doing small scale stuff, and I've done videos talking about situational awareness and situational awareness versus tactical awareness and things like that. That would be ancient Greek and Roman tactics for modern age protesters. History has a way of repeating itself. And I don't know if I would. There are times I run into the morality versus legality of situations. And since the rules are changing so fast, I don't ever want the Historical Fencing Guild to be mislabeled or misunderstood again. Oh, it's very. I remember they do. It's actually the wearing of chainmail because of so many knifings has become very popular in certain circles. In places in Italy, in places in England, for example, there are people who really they're wearing everyday concealed chainmail. Well, I have found that most of the protesters seem, when I'm looking at them from a tactical assessment, seem prepared for part of what they're dealing with, but not all. And it is troubling because I see people getting hurt needlessly or preventably. I do believe in peaceful protests. I believe that is a necessary goal in the function of any country. There has to be proper, legalized, and safe outlets for the people. It comes under many things, including the right of free speech, the right of peaceable assembly, these things. Got a lovely kickbot, but they count as interaction, and I need so many random sign-ons to pursue some of what I'm doing that I'm not going to complain. But what I have found is most, when you see the shields in America that are used by protesters, if we're comparing European ones, I see a lot more homemade and improvised shields. Usually round or teardrop, ironically, usually flat. Which aren't, they're very doable, but there are ways to improve on that. And it's like I see the strapping and such, and I have questions about it. And again, this is just an assessment by somebody who has a bit of a trained eye. I see the necessity of understanding equipment and safety gear as something everyone should know. I mean, bare minimum, every male who is going out to something like a protest should wear a cup. Now, I do have concerns, and I don't know if that sort of thing counts as towards premeditation if something goes wrong. I don't want things to go wrong. I want peaceable, civil discussion where the rule of law is held and adults can speak to each other like adults. And, the people are properly and accurately represented, and those who are in places of power are there from a mindset of servant leadership. I'm a firm believer that the person who has the most authority has the least autonomy. Because if you have the ability to, with a word, end someone's life, you need to be strictly, both externally and internally, held to a set of rules. And this goes all the way down to the kind of people who should be watching, refereeing, and training matches in any club. One thing I find that assorted groups, and I want to pull it back a little more to what we're supposed to be on topic about, because that, while fascinating, could be a very dangerous topic to walk if we don't walk it with respect and with caution. Like I said, I don't ever want to be seen as instigating. I want to be someone who educates and elevates the downtrodden. That's what I do. That has been my goal. I want people who, especially people who have lost personal power due to trauma or injury or just disability, to be able to find ways to express and rebuild that power. Oh, good evening, Dawn. The only way to do that is it goes into what I'm talking about, melee combat. Everyone is surrounded by nestled circles. And when we're talking about range, it's, your skin is like, contact with you is the first thing you have to be in control of. And then, how far you can reach at about elbow, how far you can reach at your arms. How far you can reach effectively with a force multiplier. That could be a weapon, tool, projectile device, whatever. That expands your circles out. And as you expand your circles out, you have to deal with whatever threats can interfere with those circles first. And we need to train in that. And this is where occasionally I run into issues with people who don't cross-train and only solo combat. I would love to see something like MMA, but a 2-on-2 or 3-on-3. Not because I want to see the violence, but I want to see the change in the styles of engagement when multiple opponents, multiple threats are in play. And I think if that happened more, we see behaviors change. The more complex the situation, the more simple you need your reaction to be. And I think, again, we need to test that. The tragedy I find with mixed martial arts is mixed martial arts, and I know I'm talking about it a lot, but something I pay attention to, has become its own style, largely populated by the same sets of training that work best for MMA. And that's wonderful, but ironically, it defeats its own original purpose in my mind. Wherein you would take a practitioner of Wing Chun and literally put him in a room with in a ring with a practitioner of Bagua and see how that works out. You understand? Likewise, it is vital we have cross-training in our martial, in our melee, in our armed styles. Because if you're not stress testing it, if you are not cross-training outside of your style, if you aren't cross-training as much as possible outside your local group, if you're not cross-training outside of your experience level, you are going to stagnate dramatically. Everybody does. And that's because it's very easy for fighting to become insular. And I've noticed that even with us. It's very easy for Trey and I to fall into a very specific style of fighting. It's very easy for Jim and I to fall into a specific style of fighting. It's very easy for a few others to fall into very specific styles, very predictable. And we need to make sure we are breaking out of that whenever we have the opportunity. You'll note I said training outside of your experience level. You are sparring. You need to spar with people who are more experienced and less experienced. Part of it is theoretically you're getting more from the more experienced and you are giving more to the less experienced as part of the circle of fight. It's the circle of fight. Anyway, sorry, my sarcasm kicked in. But when you are working with someone of less experience, often they will do things that you wouldn't have thought of because they're inherently stupid till they work. And you have to start processing that. That's why... Oh, yes. And we got popping in. I said hi. Hey, Dawn. And sarcasm, me? Nah, never. Speaking of MMA, they got MMA night battles in full armor. Yes, they do. In fact, what is it? Is it armored martial arts? Armored mixed martial arts? I'm trying to remember the name of their group. I know several people who are in such groups. Stephen and Amanda Hatt come to mind. Adrian Dinwiddie come to mind. It is fascinating to see the difference between that and something like SCA heavy fighting. And for me, my problem is in the safe training of that technique. And what I have found is the people who love that have accepted that they are just going to take a fixed amount of damage from doing it regardless. So it's a different mentality but it's fascinating to see. See, on the subject of armor, it's really interesting that we bring this up. There are two approaches to armored combat. For all the martial arts out there, there are two approaches. Two. Your training is to simulate the use of the armor, which means, whether intentional or not, the armor itself is part of your weapons system. And especially if you get into like bow hurt, or oh god, I cannot remember the mixed armored martial arts group name. It's falling off my head. But you get into, okay, some SCA heavy fighters, definitely the two chucks. You get sparring and grappling and striking combined with weapon system, which for realism and practicality, if you can train that way, if you can physically endure to train that way, you will get the best, most practical experience out of that. If you are training, right, if you are in the armored approach. Now, if you look at what we do and what other groups, so certain LARPs, SCA, largely, a few others, it's weapon-based fighting with minimal to no unarmed combat as a safety measure. And that is one I've always felt very mixed on. Because had I the facilities, I would have mats where we could safely throw each other around, and people would train in how to fall safely. And, you know, we would combine the arts if we could do it in such a way where it wouldn't break the weapon and the weapons would not do more damage than intended. Which gets us back to the armor, because I said there are two approaches. One of them, the armor is part of a weapon system. The other is we wear armor and protection not to simulate being armored, but to prevent the damage that we would entail if we were unarmored. I don't know if that's making sense to you guys, but I always want to fight like I'm not wearing a mask. Sure, Kitty. Kitty says, "Ooh, I found a picture of a messer guard that looked unnatural. If I can send it to you, could you explain it to me?" We're friends on Facebook. I'll get Facebook up in the background, and I will gladly look that over, and I will gladly explain if I can. And if I can't, I will say I don't know. We're just taking a minute to get there. Wow. Sorry, I just saw prehistoric voodoo dolls come up on my stream, on my For Me feed. And let me see. Thesis sent me something which looks like a manual of some sort. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, Kitty, as soon as that comes to me through Facebook or whatever, I will look that up. We've got a few minutes left. But how I work with does produce more defensive-minded fighters. It does tend to produce people who are not going to be door kickers. You know what I'm saying? Not always, but a lot of it is because I train from a civilian mindset. meaning we are looking at defense. I train to encourage survival over victory. When we're sparring, we're doing scenarios, because I want to instill capacities. I want to instill capabilities, but I do not want to instill bravado. I never want someone I've trained to feel comfortable enough to go start poop or be excessively heroic and get hurt in what we do. So the only reason I am wearing armor, whenever I'm wearing armor, is so I am not hurt in the practice. It is why I train us to have such a light relative necessity for a hit. I would rather have you guys train expecting the worst outcome of a mistake and being able to possibly mechanically deal with the real life one better than you would expect than the reverse. It's also why I tend to, while I do love the historical stuff and I shall always love rapiers, I do tend to encourage the training in styles you are practically likely able to mimic using modern acquired gear. That's why floating around here somewhere is my butcher knife trainer that I made. I made about an 8-inch butcher knife trainer. So let me see. Oh, that's beautiful. Thesis sent me a wonderful manual. Let me see. Kitty sent. Okay. Let me look at this. Hold on, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to save it. I'm going to take this. I'm going to move to new window and move this over. This looks like it came out of, I want to say, Tallhopper. Oh, no, it's a Messer. So, yeah. That is interesting. So give me a second, and what I will do is that is beautiful then. Let me bring this back up. And that's not the one I want. That is. Part of what you are seeing is being limited by the effective art style of the period. Okay? I've seen this. They're holding the Messer upside down, and I don't know why. So it's a draw. Well, okay. It's not. No. Okay. Let's do this for a second. Okay. Give me just a second. Do I have my... Oh, hi. There's a cat down there. There's a cat over there. Sorry. I've been rearranging things, so you have to bear with me. But let's get the stick of everything. Okay. We're going to move the stuff I've been working on. Okay. So we have a low crouch. I'm facing the right way. Go. And his grip is open, and the blade is upside down. huh. Because all it is a wide, I mean, believe it or not, it's much closer to this. He's just drawn at a funky angle. He's low, he's crouched. Found a washer. So when you start putting a body in the position he's in, the hand is out of the way because it's behind the hip. So it's here. It's just, the anatomy is really terrible. I can't quite figure out why the sword is upside down. I really am inclined. Messer gets strange. Is that Meyer? And this very much looks like one that would need context. Yeah, it is definitely upside down, and the way this person is drawn, it looks almost like they are doing this all behind their back, but their thumb would not. Okay, let me look. Yeah, your hand can't mechanically do that. So I think it's a case I think the artist made an error. Because if you look, he's gripping up on the blade, and his thumb would be over the guard, and the wrong edge of the messer is sharpened, but you have the bird head. So hold on, let me do this again. We're going to zoom in here. You're only going to zoom in that much because of what I have this opened up and hide that. Okay, but that right there should all be pointed down. So yeah, I think it's a case of either this could be a case where a sword was fumbled and he recovered, assuming that's a he. It could be a she. And caught it upside down, but that really, it's weird because it's low end in the middle and this hand is back. So I've seen guards like this, but I think what happened is the artist made some anatomical errors because just the act of getting into that position would be problematic, and the sword is upside down. Yeah. And that's my problem, because the upper body looks like that does read like it's behind his back, but that reads like his butt, so he'd have to be fully pivoted around. It just doesn't quite fit. And yeah, the artist might have studied dead bodies before, but not living ones. I need to see more context on this image, and that's one of the problems with historical still sources in any of the art styles. Do not scratch my chair. Sorry. Cat correction. Hi, Stuart. But fascinating thing. So yes, I think there's just a lot of artistic error here, because yeah, if he was reaching behind his back, his thumb would be on the other side with the upraised palm. This could be also a case where the artist took essentially sketch notes very rapidly during a bout or something, and they just got mixed up on what they were doing. Because I don't think this was a posed picture. I think that was a case of them trying to remember how things went. Now, I could be mistaken. I need to see where that is. And that could be Meyer. I've seen the image. That's what's killing me. Yeah. Yeah. It just... I think what's happening is What I bet's going on, now that I've thought about it, hold on, let me bring that back up. Here. If you see how it's billowing, I bet that is a padded jacket. This is fairly early. Okay. The Trues put it past and the Tights put that's gotta be it's got not okay. I'm a Renaissance guy, so bear with me, but those pointed shoes and tights like that, that's weird. Okay. So I don't know what we'll do. We'll go. Hold on. Copy image. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna go Google. Let's put some. Yes. Yes. Google.com, and we will go image search by image. Hold on, we'll just do it like this. Give me just a second. I have to maneuver a few things to get that where I want it. Unfortunately, I have a crap ton of images now. Oh, you know what? Here, we'll do this. Sort by date modified, group by date modified. Okay, so it's not coming up there. Where did it put that image? Oh, well. Here you go. Final paste. All righty. Pilgrims, Bats, Messer, Fighters. Oh. Buckner. See, there's our boy that somebody made fun of. And that makes more sense. Yeah. Let me go here for a second. Johannes Lechner. Yep. Born in Nuremberg. Okay. At least we found the reference. And I will just throw that copy into the chat for you guys to have access to. Let me get rid of that. Oh, yes. I was going, it's not Meyer, it's not, but that should let you guys see the link. It sort of went gobbledygook when I pasted it for reasons I don't know. But, and my net is basically hating me right now. So let me just fan that out. And we will close that. Yeah, because I go in that. My brain went, Tallhofer? No. So what I have to do is go through and link the actual image itself with the the definition, the description, but I'm betting I'm going to have to look through some of these manuals. And I also don't speak German. So, I think we've tracked it down enough to answer your question. And guys, this is what I spend hours doing. The reason I'm not just deep diving that is, frankly, I could enjoy it too much, but it would get very boring for you. So let me see. And yes, definitely German. And well, we lost that part. Well, did we? Did we? Yeah, that's where it came from. Because that's that guy where somebody has made fun of it. I just have to be careful. And yeah, they're having fun. So, I hope that. Oh yes, Wicked an Hour is a wonderful resource for seeing scans of historical documents. They absolutely are. I think I was able to get onto academia.edu. I literally have probably 50 plus curated manuals and discussions and papers on given things that I need to sit down and nose through that I won't be able to till probably the middle of next month, if I'm lucky, even get back started. And then I will be fronting them back up to the secret folder for my Patreon members to be able to dig through too. As I get them, I pass them along. I'm way behind, and I do like to peruse them at least a little bit before I front them on, despite the speed in which they are coming. I do think this has been an interesting program. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm sorry Ruby couldn't make it, so those who speak to Ruby, please, extend that she is missed. And beyond that, guys, it has been over the hour. I have some things that are required of me, and there's no other way around it. I got to get some stuff done for tomorrow. So I will talk to you all very soon. Guys, keep your guard up. Do your drills. Keep your eyes open. And be kind to yourself and each other. And as always, friends, thank you for supporting your local sword master. I will be back next week for another episode of the Historical Fencing Guild's live stream. I'm hoping to have recorded material for you sometime next week from this practice or last. I'm still getting into the video editing programs, or at least I want to. So middle of next week, I might be able to get into that. I have some charity-related work I have to do first. Rather substantial volunteering. But beyond that, guys, wonderful night. Keep researching. Keep coming up with these great questions, these oddities, and keep reaching out, because it's the only way we're going to learn. Pay attention and stay safe out there. Okay? Toodles.